We are now going to install Plex Media Server. The URL I have here takes you to the page related to Linux distributions. You have the option, if you have a Plex Pass, I have one, to be included in beta releases. Pick your choice. And in Linux, you have the latest stable release. Since in Linux there are different distributions, I'm going to choose the one that applies to me, and this would be Ubuntu 16.04. And I'm just going to right click on that, choose copy link, and I'm going to paste that into the command to download from within my Plex Media Server. That is the curl command. The download will be placed in tmp as pms.deb, and that is the URL I'm fetching from. I'm now going to install the installer from here with elevated privileges. And the next thing, I'm going to verify if it is installed and running. And as you can see, it is loaded and it is active. I'm quitting, quit. For Plex to be included in this process of upgrading the package, and if there is an upgrade, applying it, you need to enable the repo updating. There is a file which you need to edit, and you need to simply uncomment this line. I'm going to exit, and when asked to save, I'm going to say yes. We're now going to set up the environment for Plex Media Server. And I'm just going to copy and paste from my notes and comment as I go along. I'm going to place my streaming content in a folder called Plex Media Server. I'm going to go into that directory, and I am going to create 3 subdirectories. So if I list, I have movies, other, and TV. In my case, I do not keep files permanently. So I upload, I watch, and through the Plex app itself, I delete. In this particular case, I want that the Plex media area is such that everyone has read and write. You recall that we have set certain scripts with only root access. This is sort of the exact opposite, such that anyone, including the Plex Media app itself, can delete files. The next step, I'm going to share a setting I have that goes to the Plex Media libraries and changes all files it finds there to give permission to everyone to do whatever they want, effectively to delete. I transfer files from my Windows and Ubuntu machines into the Plex Media libraries, and as I've shared already, I've seen it, I delete it. This setting I'm sharing allows Plex to delete. If you don't do it, you will notice that you can't delete content you transfer as I do. Let's go over the process. Here I have the site, which is a cron tab generator. Cron tab is a scheduler, and I have a setting that every 30 minutes it executes the following command, which is changing permissions recursively for everyone, giving them read-write on Plex Media Library, and since it's recursing, it goes all the way down. I want to mute execution, and when I generate the cron tab line, I get this line. I'm going to take that line and put it in the task scheduler into cron tab. First time use, it tells you which one do you want. I use nano, so I'm going to go with that. And here I have the file, and all I have to do is paste the line I copied. I'm going to save this file. Before we can stream from Plex, we have to put content on it. And this short snippet, I'm going to share how you can do that. If you're streaming from a remote device, then as I did with the photos, you go through that device and place content. Here I'm going to show how I transfer files between my Windows machine and Plex, drag a Windows command prompt, and I have a file in my D drive that is Dracula, and I'm going to transfer it there. I use PSCP, which is a utility stored with PuTTY, so it's PSCP, the path, and where it is going. Now I know the account, I know the IP address, which helps explain why having a fixed IP is good, and finally where I want it to be. So it's Plex Media Library /movies. In my case, I'm asked to authenticate with that machine, and you can see the transfer. If you're on an Ubuntu machine, there's the SCP command, which works identically. The Plex Media Library is local to our Plex Media Server. You may have content on another computer that you want to access through your Plex Media Server. To do that, you have to first share the folder on the other server or the NAS in my case. Take note of the credentials, the username and password to access that share. And finally, in Ubuntu, enable that share. And this is the process we are going to walk through now. The first thing we need to do is install CIFS, which is going to allow us to access resources on other computers, and I'm going to create a folder called /MNT/Plex Media Server photos. I now need to specify the credentials that will be used to access that share, and I'm going to place it in etc/win credentials, and here there are two entries we need to plug in: username and password. These need to be substituted as we have done. I'm just going to limit who can read from it and write to it. I now need to enable that share, and the file I need to edit is /etc/fstab. Here I'm going to paste the reference to the file, the IP address of the NAS, and the shared folder name. This /MNT/P is the share, is the folder we created. CIFS, the credentials which we have, and these are the user ID and group ID I'm using over here. I'm going to save this file, and now I'm going to attempt to mount this file. If all goes well, I should get successfully mounted. That means that it is now visible. And if I list, you will see that even though they're blurred out, these are folders on my NAS. This part deals with configuring the Plex app. I'm going to do it on the web browser. In my browser, I'm going to log in to Plex, and I'm going to introduce the new Plex into this ecosystem. I am a Plex Pass user, and my experience is of that. I'm typing in the URL, and I'm told that there is this application. Do you want to introduce it? And I'm going to say sign in. I'm going to call this Demo Plex. Here I check if I want to be able to access my media from outside my house. Say next. And now I'm asked to organize my library. So I'm going to add my library, and I have TV programs. You can see our Plex Media Library, and that is for TV. Add library. I'm going to add another library. This is going to be for films. Next, browse, Plex Media, movies, add library. I am going to add a third library. This one is going to point to the link to my share. And that you will recall is my photos. And I'm going to stop here. If I scroll down to demo, PMS, and I go to films, you will see Dracula, which we copied using PSCP from my Windows. And if I start this, you can see that the movie has started. If anyone is interested, you can view and download from Internet Archive. Highly recommended and supported if you can. If on the other hand I go to photos, even though they're blurred, you can see the indexing is taking place. I have thousands of photos. You can see that it's populated. I am now going to configure the last setting we did. I'm going to go into settings under demo, Plex Media Server. I have a number of options. You will see that remote access has an exclamation. This is because it's not enabled in my firewall. If you have questions about how to do that, ask in the comments. The area I want to go is in transcoder and it's set to automatic, but here I'm going to do where the temporary directory is located. And if you recall what we did before, you will see the association. So any transcodification takes place here. I tend to stream a lot from remote places, sometimes with less than optimal internet connectivity, and I found that setting the default throttle buffer to 600 is a sweet spot, works for me. I also, because of my current situation, I tend to notch this down too fast. If you have a fast internet, if your remote sites are very fast, you don't need to probably change these. If you have an opinion, again, please share. Once that is done, don't forget to say save changes. That concludes this setup of Plex Media Server. It gives you a very solid Plex Media Server on a low resource machine because Ubuntu Server has no GUI to take up resources, and you can have a very efficient machine. I hope that this has been a useful setup and that you can, no cost for operating systems, no spyware, no add-ons, and a very low budget machine, have a very good solid Plex Media Server. I did say that these are my notes, and I've been using the first version of the Plex Media Server for ages without any problems whatsoever. Thank you. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe because it helps me and it helps the channel. Thank you and take care.